Hi everyone, welcome back to yoga. My name is Ashley, and today is the last Wednesday of the month, which means it's Gentle Day here on our Zoom class. And yesterday I got a really cool text from one of my friends, and she texted me from an excerpt from that book. She said, day number 41 from Meditations on the Mat, which is this book that I often will read from for this class. And I'm going to read it for you. It says, a quote by John F. Kennedy, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate." And then comes the meditation after. She says, Brahmacharya on the mat is suppleness of spirit. As we return to our mats over and over again, we experience rigidity at many levels. We can become rigidity attached to practicing at certain times, certain temperatures, in certain styles, certain sequences with certain teachers, certain clothes, certain mats, certain places in the room, certain towels, certain results, ... The list is endless. Many of these attachments are harmless. Most of us settle down to a particular style and a particular philosophy, and this is necessary if we are going to dig our wells deep. Nevertheless, the root of all attachment is fear, and a fear-driven practice will get us hurt or get us nowhere at all. Brahmacharya on the mat is the sensitivity to these attachments. Where and when, in what manner, am I out of balance? Am I practicing 7 days a week to control my weight or to achieve a body shape that I believe will give me power in the world? Am I practicing yoga as a means to show up for my life or to hide from it? Do I appreciate my teacher because they challenge me to look at my life or because they don't make me look at my life? As we cultivate this sort of inquiry on the mat, our practice becomes an exercise in balance. As a rule of thumb in my own practice, I avoid becoming complacent. That means two things. I rest more often than I like, and I take class even when I don't want to. And I believe that it's good for me to be pushed harder than I would like, and that it's equally good for me to take time off or to practice without pushing at all. I know that if I don't like a teacher, it might be because she reflects or he reflects or they reflect an aspect of myself that I have not made peace with. I know that I will never graduate, and I know too that I can trust my body. Brahmacharya on the mat is the same as it is anywhere else. It is Sanskrit for personal responsibility. Let's practice. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point out in front of you and connect to your natural breath. Take a moment here just to acknowledge yourself here in this moment for showing up today, doing 90% of the work, just getting here. Feel free to join your palms in front of your heart or rest your hands on your thighs for one Om. Feel free to sing along or listen. Take a full breath in. Exhale completely. Inhale again. Release your hands, gently open your eyes. Please begin on all fours, hands and knees for cat and cow. Line up your wrists with your shoulders, knees with your hips. Then begin to round your spine, bringing your tailbone forward, chin toward your chest, ribs high. And as you inhale, reverse your movement, curl into your lower, middle, and upper back. Lift your chin and broaden your sitting bones apart. Again, feel free to keep your eyes closed and just allow the wisdom of your body to help guide your movements. Feel free at any point to make your movements more organic, meaning swing your hips side to side, roll your shoulders, head, and neck. Just doing movements that feel good and appropriate for you today. You can even choose to pause in places that feel like they need a little extra attention and time. Next time you come to a neutral spine, stay there. Then reach your right arm all the way open to your right. Swing your right arm under your left arm and bring your right shoulder and ear to the floor, going as close to right shoulder to left knee as you'd like. The closer your armpit to your knee, the deeper and more difficult to twist. Feel free to stay like this or extend your pose by walking your left fingertips more forward and to your right. Push a little with your left hand and pull a little with your right hand. Keep your chin slightly lifted and do put a little bit of pressure into the side of your head that pushes into the floor. That way your neck is happier in this position. Really focus on, throughout the class today, in melting the rigidity that exists with your breath. Using your breath to visualize it and going into the places that feel like they are limited, tight, rigid. Walk your left hand back. Reach your right arm all the way open to your right. Then lower your right hand to the floor, inhaling left arm up, reach. And then swing your left arm under your right arm. Bring your shoulder and ear to the floor. Feel free to walk your right hand forward and to the left. Push your right hand down and forward, left hand down and back. Right hip back, left hip forward. Just take a few slow breaths here. Pushing with your right hand, pulling with your left hand. Really do your best to even out your hips while maintaining a gentleness in your posture. Few more breaths. Feel yourself melting further and further into the pose, opening little by little with each breath. Walk your right hand back, untwist, reach left arm all the way open to your left. And lower your hand to the floor. We're going to do one down dog. Walk your hands forward, curl your toes under, lift your knees up. Do feel free to bend your knees for your down dog or work your legs straighter, reaching heels toward the floor. Maybe using this as either a calf stretch, just a full back of leg stretch, back stretch, or all of the above. Do push your hands down and forward, feet down and back, but again, maintain a gentleness and a flexibility in your posture. Using your breath to go a little deeper into the pose. Take your feet as wide as your mat, and then walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend your knees until your ribs and your thighs touch. Then just hang between your legs. Feel free to keep fingers on the floor, or grab onto your legs, or grab onto your elbows with your hands. Do or don't swing side to side, bringing weight into one foot, then into the other foot. Maybe shaking your head no or yes. Maybe tapping right elbow to right shin, left elbow to left shin. And just swinging like a grandfather clock. Notice if you're holding tension in your neck and shoulders, and do your best to relax there. And then bring your fingers back to the floor, lengthen your spine to a flatter back, Ardha Uttanasana. And walk your hands all the way back to out in front of you for a down dog. And then quickly, gently lower your knees to the floor. Keep your toes curled under, knees and ankles together, and then slide your knees as close to your toes as they'll get. And then walk your hands back and sit up on your feet. Great. From here, squeeze your knees and ankles in. Push your toes down like you're trying to push them toward the wall behind you. And then take your fingers, interlace them in front of your heart. Then for today, push your palms forward. You'll feel a stretch in your wrists. Then take your arms up as high as they'll go over your head. Do clamp your fingers tightly and pull your arms away from each other. And then try to relax between your neck and your shoulders. Good. Again, take slow breaths. Release your fingertips to the floor, and then flip to the tops of your feet. And then squeeze knees and ankles in, have a seat on your feet, but fold forward over your legs. Now from here, you can either keep your arms out in front of you or flip your arms back behind you, palms pointing up, draping yourself all the way over your legs, letting your shoulders drop, and forehead to the floor for child's pose variation. And just take slow, steady breaths here. Place your hands by your ears, move your shoulders back, lift your chin, and slowly sit up. Lie down on your belly. And from here, take your right arm way out in front of you and crawl your fingers really far forward, and then just roll over onto your right side. And then you want to get this big stretch on your right side and scoot your hips a little forward so that your hips, your feet, and your wrists are in line. And then bend your elbow, place your head into your right hand. Push your right elbow down and toward your right shoulder, and then your right hip down toward the floor so your right side of your ribs kind of lift up. Push your outer right foot down just a little bit and then hold steady here. Maybe take your left foot on top of your right inner thigh. Then just quickly use your left hand to pull it in if you can. Then take your hand back to the floor. We're really working on more relaxation than balance, but if you would like to try to balance without holding onto the floor, feel free to take your hand to your thigh. Otherwise, keep your hand down on the floor. Just hold here, breathe here. Maybe close your eyes. And lower your leg, and then lower your torso back to the floor, your front of your body. Take your left arm straight out in front of you. Get all this length first, and then roll onto your outer left hip. Maybe scoot your hips a little more forward, and then when you feel ready, place your head into your left hand. From here, you can hang out or take your right foot into tree pose, placing your foot to the inner edge of your left leg. And then maybe take your hand back to the floor, hold here, or hand to thigh if you want to work more balance. Maybe close your eyes and take slow, steady breaths. And slowly lower your right leg. Go back to your belly. And just make sure that your belly and your torso all feel even on the floor. You can pull yourself slightly forward so your flesh moves toward your toes. Then take your right forearm way out in front of you so that if you lowered your head, it will land on your forearm. Then bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand to grab your foot for a quad stretch. Pull your heel toward your outer hip, and then gently rest your forehead onto your right forearm. You can stay still or gently rock your forehead side to side, massaging across your eyebrow line, all while taking deep breaths. Most people hold rigidity in their faces, especially in the eyebrow line area, but also sometimes in the jaw. And so it can be a really good practice to bring your attention here and do your best to let go of some of that rigidity and stress in those muscles. Lower your foot. Switch sides, take your left or your right knee in, grab your foot, and then your left arm out in front of you, head to your arm as you hold the quad stretch. And again, you can do rocking your head side to side or just be still. Just allow your breath to be slow, maybe 5 to 8 counts in and 5 to 8 counts out. And most people are also rigid in their breath. The breath tends to be, for a majority of people, shallow and quick. And so it is a good practice, again, to lengthen and deepen, to defy what we normally do, and to step out of our comfort zone in a way. Slowly let go of your foot, and then roll onto your back. Hopefully you're still awake. And then take your right ankle on top of your left knee for Dandasana, needle's eye. Draw your legs slowly toward your chest and interlace your fingers around your left thigh or your shin. And just gently rock side to side, especially focusing on the right side of your back. Maybe drawing your eyes closed, turning your attention a little bit more inward. With your breath, you can really focus on expanding the diaphragm a little bit wider than normal, trying to expand your rib cage to a bigger diameter. And sometimes that can help us get a little bit more breath in. Take your right hand to either the outer edge of your right foot or wrap your first two fingers and thumb around your right big toe. Then just step your left foot back to the floor. toes pointing straight ahead. Then push your right leg to or toward straight, pushing evenly through the inner and outer ball of your foot. Take your left hand to your left thigh and reach your left fingers toward your left knee. Do or don't straighten your left leg along the floor for Supta Padangusthasana variation. Push your left leg longer, like you're trying to step on the wall that your foot's facing. And then reach your right leg longer as you push foot into hand, hand into foot. Use a little bit of tension to aid in a little more relaxation. So some tension to allow the muscle to eventually let go a little bit. Then gently open your right leg slowly to your right, aiming the outer edge of your right foot toward the floor. You don't have to take your leg all the way to the floor, just go to wherever you can keep your left hip down. Keep reaching your left fingers toward your left toes. And keep letting your breath breathe itself. Lift your legs slowly back up. You have two options. Your option is to do the straight-legged variation, Supta Padangusthasana revolve, taking your leg across your body, grabbing left hand to outer foot, or you can bend your right knee and grab your outer right thigh instead. Do or don't take your right knee or your right foot to the floor to the left, and do allow your right hip to come off of the floor. And rotate your outer right hip away from your shoulder so you're keeping this length on the right side of your body. Keep your right shoulder tacked toward the floor and maybe even gaze toward your right fingertips. Slowly lift your leg back up. And then with your hands, interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. And then bend your right knee. And straighten your right leg. And then bend your knee. Straighten your leg. Do one more. Bend your knee. Straighten your leg. And lower your right foot flat on the floor. Cross your left ankle over your right knee for needle's eye on this side. Then gently draw your legs toward your chest, interlacing fingers around your right thigh or shin. And drawing your legs in as closely as feels optimal for you today, and maybe rocking side to side on the left side of your back. Noticing if your body is slowly opening, little by little, pose by pose, breath by breath. And even noticing if it doesn't feel like it is opening at all. Whether it is or it isn't, you're still here, you're still practicing, and you're still doing the work. Sometimes the rigidity is where we expect something to happen and it doesn't happen and we get upset. And so it can be a good practice to, instead of getting frustrated with our body, to thank our body and to thank our mind and ourselves just for being here and showing up. Because sometimes that can be enough. Take your left hand to your left big toe or the outer edge of your foot, and then drop your right foot to the floor. Point your left foot straight up and kick your leg to or toward straight, pushing foot into hand, hand into foot, taking right hand to right thigh, Do or don't extend your right leg straighter along your mat. Push foot into hand, hand into foot. And take some slow, steady breaths, reaching both legs longer and straighter. And gently open your left leg to the left. Go slowly, mindfully, aiming your outer left foot to the floor. Kick strength and length through your right leg and left leg equally. Extend through the top of your head. Keep reaching through your right fingertips. Again, your choice. Lift your leg back up. Feel free to bend your left knee or keep your leg straight, grabbing outer edge of your left foot or outer left thigh with your right hand. Cross your leg over your body for revolved Supta Padangusthasana. Keep rotating left outer hip away from your shoulder, and then push your outer right leg down. Press your left shoulder back and maybe gaze to your left. Gently untwist. Lift your left leg back up. Grab your left thigh from behind. And then bend your left knee and straighten your leg. Do it 3 times. Go slow with your breath. Pushing hands into leg, leg into hands. And then gently bend your knee, lower your foot to the floor. Place your feet flat on the floor so they're hip distance. And then make sure your toes point straight ahead. Walk your shoulders in just a little bit toward your spine. And then do grab the outer edges of your mat, or you can just keep your elbows pushing into the floor. And just lift your hips up a little bit. This might be where you stay, or walk your shoulders in again. And lift your hips a little higher for a gentler bridge. So try not to force too much lift. Just get so much lift that you feel at least a little stretch in your abdomen or just a little opening in the front side of your body. And then wiggle your hips side to side a little bit, if and only if that feels good. And then once you take your hips to the right, heel toe your feet just a smidge to your right, and then lower your hips to the floor, keeping an upper back bend. So not quite resting on your arm unless you know you want to and can do it. Just take this moment here. You can stay like this, or with your hips to your right, take your legs in the same direction that your hips are going, so slightly off your mat to your right, so you're in kind of a banana shape on the right side. And then take your arms over your head. This is called banana pose. And then crawl your hands over to the right corner of your mat, so you're in like this really nice crescent shape. And then hook your thumbs. It's kind of hard to see me from this angle, but both my upper body and my lower body are reaching to the right. So I have this huge stretch on the left side. In order to come out of this shape, bring your arms and your torso back to the center, and then bend your knees. Push through your Head, shoulders, feet, lift your hips, and then heel toe your feet back to the center, taking hips to the floor. Then again, lift up to a bridge pose and go as high as feels optimal. And then swing your hips to your left, heel toe your feet just a little to your left, and lower your hips just inside your left arm. And you can stay working here totally fine, or extend your legs off of your mat to the left. You can stay here or reach your arms over to your left. Maybe even crawl your torso a little more to your left. Maybe hook your thumbs and reach in your arc to the left, lengthening on your right side. And this might be like one of those poses it's like, I've never seen this before. This is like so new and I'm used to all this other kind of stuff. And that in itself can be a good practice. Welcoming new and different postures into your repertoire. To come out, bring your arms and your torso back to center. Bend your knees, lift your hips up, and then walk your feet back to center and lower your hips to the floor. Do windshield wipers, so letting your knees drop to the right and back up over to the left. Just rocking slowly over your glutes and your hip muscles. Just noticing if there's any tension or tightness still there. Maybe even pausing in certain places that feel like they could use just a little bit more time holding on to, a little more time in the position. And then once you feel even, come back up to center. And roll to one side, sit up on your mat, and take your legs straight out in front of you. Slide your bottom flesh back just a little bit so you're sitting up tall on your sitting bones, and it can be helpful to sit up on a blanket or block to elevate your pelvis so you get a slight curve in your lower back. Stay like this, taking your fingertips outside your hips, move your shoulders back, flare your toes, try to separate all 10 toes away from each other. The hardest one to do is pinky toe and fourth toe. Just do your best. This helps to open up all the stuff in your legs, all the way up into your hips. And then take your left knee to your left. Rotate your inner thighs down, outer hips up for Janu Shirshasana. Feel free to fold in between your legs or go directly over your right leg. And always feel free to bend your right knee to take rib cage and thigh to connect. And then fold heart first, head last, face toward your shin or hovering above your shin in line with your spine. And just stay here with your breath, noticing the thoughts that pass by without necessarily entertaining them. On your next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine and sit back up. Take your right hand to your left knee. Take your left hand behind you and twist to your left. Reach your left arm up beyond your ear and do a crescent shape to your right. Feel free to take right hand or forearm inside your leg And you can take this pose as deeply as you'd like. I'm recommending that even if you normally go into grabbing the foot today, maybe today just go to your forearm and work here. Pushing your right leg down into the floor, rooting to rise up out of your torso and reaching your left arm beyond your ear as much as you push back through your left hip. Inhale, slowly come back up. And swing your left leg forward with the help of your hands. Take your right knee to your right. And again, rotate your inner thighs down, outer hips up. Turning maybe inside your legs or over your left leg and folding forward to your capacity. Feel free to bend your left knee. Taking heart first, head last, towards your legs. Slow, steady breaths. Next, inhale, slowly sit back up. Keep the length, twist to your right, left hand to your right thigh, right hand behind your hips. Then reach your right arm up and beyond your ear, getting all this length and stretch. Stay here, take your hand or forearm to the floor. Push through your hips, extend through your right arm. Keep your left toes pointing up. And try your best not to hold your breath. On your next inhale, slowly sit up. Stay long in your spine. Extend your right leg forward. Dandasana, staff pose again. Bring fingertips outside your hips. Maybe move your bottom flesh back. Point your toes straight up. You always are allowed to take your feet hip distance or together here. Bent knees or straight legs, as long as you can take your rib cage to your thighs with a flat back. Grabbing shins, ankles, or feet. Do or don't straighten your legs. Tone your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Lengthen your spine and then draw your elbows wider as you pull your torso more forward. Maybe taking your face into your shins or just level with your neck, level with your spine. And then maybe keeping hands on feet. You can also just rest your palms on the floor outside your feet. If you have the flexibility, you can wrap your wrists around your feet and grab fingers. I'm recommending that you do whatever feels most restful in your body today. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine and slowly sit back up. Take yourself so that you face the long edge of your mat and then take your feet wide. And then you can take your feet as wide as mine are, which are to the corners of your mat, or go narrower, whatever feels better on the backs of your legs and on your hips and your back. Again, maybe sit up on a prop. And then from here, first take your hands back behind you. Lift your lower back in and up, move your shoulders back, and then do an upper back bend, maybe lifting your chin. And just breathing here several breaths. Feel free to stay in this position or walk your hands forward and fold forward, taking forearms or your whole torso to the floor. Just getting where feels best for you today. And then for today, I'm going to allow you to let your legs relax. So your toes may roll in as long as it feels okay on your knees and on the backs of your legs and your inner legs. So if it doesn't feel okay, then reactivate and point your toes straight back up. And hold here. Rest your jaw, your eyes, the back of your neck. Just allow yourself to be fully present in this moment, however that looks for you. On your next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine and sit back up. And then take your hands underneath your knees, lean back a little bit and use your hands to pull your legs in. And we're going to do fire logs. So take your right shin on top of your left shin. And if this is not happening, or if you have your knee really high, you can do one of two things. You can either take a blanket or a block and wedge it underneath your thigh. Or what you can do is cross your top shin in front and put your knees on top of your ankles. So whichever one you're choosing to do, push through your outer feet to lift your outer ankles up, and then push your big toe edges of your feet out to the sides. Take your hands into your feet, and then gently lean forward to whatever capacity feels best for you. You can go a little bit, or maybe go all the way forward, maybe chest to shin. If you come all the way down and you'd like to, you can take your hands out in front of you and just hold here. Some of you might be able to take your elbows down and maybe your head down. And just breathe here. Slow, deep, even breaths. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine halfway. Slowly lift your torso back up. And then switch the cross of your legs. Whatever you did on that first side, do on the second side. Make sure your sitting bones are even on the floor. Push through your big toe edges of your feet. Lift your outer ankles up. Maybe grab onto your feet. Push feet into hands, hands into feet. And gently, slowly lean forward. Maybe go all the way down. Feel free to take your arms out in front of you. Maybe rest your forearms, rest your head toward the floor. Soften your gaze. Maybe close your eyes. Next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine and sit back up. And then lift your knees back up. For this one, take your feet together, knees wide for Badakonasana, bound angle. You can have your feet either in this position, or you can go for a more omega pose, which is feet about 2 to 3 fists width apart. If you're going for feet apart, make sure you keep your knees pulling up and in rather than pushing them out and down. If you have feet together, push your knees apart like you're trying to push them toward the walls at the sides of the room. Then maybe open your feet up like a book. You can use your hands inside or your thumbs inside your arches, fingers around the tops of your feet, rooting down through your sitting bones. Reach your heart first, forward, and then your head last. Feel free to round your spine, either taking your face to your feet or keep your spine long. Take chest to feet, face toward the floor in front of you. And breathe here. On your next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine and sit back up. Take your hands outside your knees, using your hands, pull your legs in. Take elbows around your legs, hook your fingers, pull your shoulders back, and then gently drop your head toward your chest, keeping a stretch in the back of your neck, shoulders actively moving toward the wall behind you. And gently lift your head up, lie on your back. And when you come down on your back, take your feet as wide as your mat and rest your knees together. Taking your left hand closer toward your heart and then your right hand towards your lower abdomen. We're going to do a breathing exercise here. On your inhale, I want you to focus on filling up the lowest part of your abdomen first, and then moving incrementally up into the top of your chest. And on your exhale, you're going to empty, starting from the top of your chest down incrementally to your lower abdomen. So ready? Here we go. Take a slow breath in, filling from the lower abdomen, the middle, lower chest, upper chest. Exhaling, upper chest, lower chest, middle abdomen, lower abdomen. And just continue like this at your own pace. If this exercise is bothersome to you, always feel free to just breathe naturally or go into Shavasana early. We're really not doing anything different than what our body would normally do. All we're really doing is paying attention to it. And maybe just breathing a little deeper than we normally would. Feel free to continue doing this exercise throughout Shavasana or release this pranayama and come all the way into Shavasana. Feel free to rest on your back, your belly, your side, legs up a wall or on a chair, or seated for a meditation. And just allow yourself to fully and completely let go into whatever posture you're choosing today to rest in. Allowing yourself to focus on the space in between your thoughts. Seeing how long you can rest your attention there. Slowly begin to deepen and lengthen your breath. Bring gentle movements back into your body. Slowly and gently bend your knees and roll to one side. Using the strength of your arms, press yourself back to a comfortable seat. Rigidity is something that I think every single person in the world, look, I got Durga's head now. Every single person in the world can work on rigidity in some sense or another. And I think that for me personally, I related to a lot of things in that reading. So it's always a good thing to practice softening and to do things differently than we normally would. So with all that being said, feel free to join your palms in front of your chest and we'll sing one last Om. Take a full breath in. Exhale completely. Inhale again. Feel free to take one hand on your heart and the other hand over that hand, bowing your head into your heart. Take a moment to honor yourself, each other, this practice, and anyone or anything else. Thank you all so much for coming to practice today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, guys.